Hey guys, Mob Maniac here, and welcome to a video which has been quite some time since the last video I did. This is going to be a pretty quick video. I just wanted to show you guys some pretty awesome standard, without mods, world generation. Now, if you go into single player world, I have my testing world here and my single player world here. And what we're gonna do is create a new world. Now you can give it any name, so let's call it the awesome. Awesome? I don't know how to write awesome, but oh well. Awesome world. So now we can change the game mode. So we're gonna go to creative because I want to just show you guys and fly around in it. So, and here is the magical button called More World Options. Generate structures, which is going to be end dimension structures like end cities, fortresses, villages. World type default. Allow cheats, yes. Bonus chest is just a little chest of stuff you can get from the beginning that you start a new world. What we're interested in here is the world type, which is default, which we do not want. So we're going to click that, and it's going to go to world type super flat. These are all pretty much presets, and super flat is the world that the big grassy plains, which is completely 100% flat. Large biomes is going to create a pretty much a default world with just huge biomes, so huge deserts, huge everything. Amplified, this is a world that's pretty extreme. The difference between the highest mountains and the lowest parts of the world are pretty massive. Notice just for fun requires a beefy computer. Yes, it does. I tried playing in a world like this and it was pretty difficult because it really uses up a lot of RAM. You need a good graphics card to handle all the world generation, and of course a good processor. Now, the last one that this menu shows is customized. Now, this is where the fun gets really good. Pretty much you can play with these settings as much as you want. The normal sea level is at 63, and you can put everything in you want or everything you don't want. So if, for instance, if I don't want villages, click no. It's gonna make the gameplay a lot harder because you don't have villagers to trade with or have good books from and stuff. So that's something you can customize. Woodland mansions, ocean monuments, ravines. The dungeon count is the little cobblestone structures with the chests and the spawner in it. You can, it's gonna, I don't know how this exactly scales, but at least this is default, and you can crank it up all the way to 100, which is not going to completely fill your world with spawners and dungeons, but it's going to set the amount of tries that it tries to spawn a spawner into the world is going to be much higher. So the chance that you can find a spawner is going to be really high, a very much higher rate. So I'm going to just put this back on 7 because I don't really care for this. You can have water lakes, lava lakes, and all this stuff. And the next page, you can decide layers. So this is where the layers, on top there's dirt, there's gravel, granite, and there's 4 things per layer yet you can customize is the spawn size. So how big do you want gravel patches to be? How many times should the world generator try to spawn them into the world? It's just so that if it meets all the requirements for it to be able to spawn, it will spawn a chunk of, in this case, gravel, and the maximum height that it can spawn at is 256, and the minimum height is 0. So this is pretty much maxed out. It can spawn anywhere in the world from level 0 to level 256. If you go a bit down, there is like andesite, granite, coal ore, iron ore, gold ore, redstone ore. Now if you see, Redstone ore only spawns between 0 and 16, which is normal. For rare metals and rare items, they only spawn between a certain height. So in the default world, gold ore spawns between 0 and 32. And if you go all the way down, you can see that diamond ore and lapis ore, they all spawn between 16 and 0. And this for some reason says center height. I don't know what that means, but oh well. So if you look at, if you would increase this, the maximum it's going to spawn is 8, but you can put this to 50, so you have massive diamond ore blocks that, or spawns that you could mine out. It's, of course, it's a bit cheaty. You could also do this, put it to 1, and diamonds get really rare. What you could also do is just leave it at 8 and increase the spawn tries a little bit. So the spawn tries is the amount of times it tries to spawn diamonds, which will increase the diamonds that are in your world, but not significantly. The spawn sizes would be more effective, because as soon as it spawns a diamond ore in the world, the size is going to be so huge that if you spawn it or mine it out with, let's say, a Fortune 3 pickaxe, you're going to be just overloaded with diamonds, because the diamonds, the ores are going to be so big. So we're gonna leave this back at spawn try 0, which is no diamonds. So let's put it on 1. And this is pretty much the layers that you can do. Now on page 3, this is what I was talking about. Now these are things, settings, coordinates, depth, noise, exponent, blah blah blah. These are things that, as said here, expert users only. Don't mess around with this too much on your own if you don't know what you're doing, because if you put one of these sliders all the way to the right, chances are the game is going to crash, because these settings are really closely related all to each other, and you can't up them. You can't the difference between one and other setting is going to be, it needs to be within a certain range. So if you want to play around with this and you're not knowing, or you're not an expert, then I suggest you click randomize. So as you can see, the sliders just barely move, just a little bit, and I suggest just clicking this like 10-20 times or so you have some kind of a randomization, then just click done and generate the world. Another fun thing that people generally don't do anything with is the presets in this world, and in this thing, magic, in these advanced settings. Now there are a good few amount of presets that you can use here: Water World, Island, or Island, Caver's Delight, Mountain Madness, Drought, Caves of Chaos, and Good Luck. Good Luck I just recently tried, and it basically spawns ginormous lava lakes in the overworld, which can be fun if you like lava, but I don't like lava, so no thanks. The thing that I wanted to show you guys is Caver's Delight. I just recently made a world with this, and I'm going to do this again because it spawns such a beautiful landscapes. It's just unheard of. Again, just like in Amplified worlds, this is just a world for fun, just to explore and do stuff in, but don't try to play in these worlds, because the loading of these worlds is really heavy on your computer, which is, it's not a problem for your computer, but it makes gameplay a little bit shit actually. And since if you look at this little picture, there's going to be a lot of dark spots, so a lot of mobs, so you're going to be using endless amounts of torches to keep these critters out of your base or out of whatever you want it to do. So I'm going to use this preset instead of the randomization. I'm going to use this preset, And there's one more page that you can use, and there's the same presets here. So these numbers all here, again, extra advanced settings, expert use only. Don't tinker with these if you don't know what you're doing, because it could really mess up your game, and we don't want that, obviously. So what we're going to be doing now is click on done. If you want to throw in a seed that you want to do, basically you can put anything in here. There are specialized seeds on the internet which are pretty long numbers that you can put in here, but if I would to write in Mob Maniac is cool, then it would use those characters to generate a world. Anyway, so we got all our settings in place, and now let's just click on create new world. It's going to load the world, it's going to build the terrain. Now remember, I am in creative mode, so I'm going to be able to fly around. Trying to navigate this world, these kind of worlds in survival mode is pretty insane, because the terrain is just, it's so hard to navigate. It's ridiculous. So yeah, as I said, so we are in the generated world, and currently we are in biome, let's see, plains. Right. This doesn't look like plains, does it? Okay, so I'm going to double tap spacebar and be able to fly in here. This is not exactly what you call plains. Oh, by the way, I'm using the Optifine client, because the standard client just really has problems with loading these kind of worlds. So I'm using Optifine because it struggles less on trying to generate or show these worlds. Also, I put my render distance at 10 chunks because there's no point in loading more, because in these kind of worlds you can't ever see more than maybe 5 or 6 chunks out. So putting up a higher render distance is just it's pointless. As I said, a lot of shadows here, but look at how these worlds generate. I mean, the lush water and the lava here, the nice caverns here that are generated. I mean, who wouldn't want to build a base inside one of these caverns? Let's just look around a little bit more, because as I said, I mean, look at this. Oh, and by the way, be careful if you walk into this world in survival mode, because due to generation things, gravel could potentially fall on your head. Now I'm going all the way up here. Like, let me go into /game mode 3. Now I'm in spectator mode, I can move a little bit faster. So this is at level 258, so I'm actually above the generating limit, but as you can see, the world will generate above the building limit. Well, it won't generate above the building limit, but pretty much up to the building limit. And I mean, aren't they amazing? I mean, look at this, just this little hole here going through. I'll put the coordinates off. This nice water here. I'll slow myself down a little bit. And just look at them. I mean, they're massively impractical worlds, I admit, but they're beautiful nonetheless. I mean, if it loads, I mean, that's the problem I have. As you just saw in the F3 screen, I have a 8-core AMD processor and a GTX 1080, and it's still struggling to load these worlds. So having a slower computer, I wouldn't recommend trying this. I mean, you could, but I don't think the experience is going to be very light, to be honest. And yeah, so if you look at what these worlds look like, I mean, aren't they amazing? So this was the preset called Cavern Delight, Caverns Delight, and I mean, just I would love to be in one of these worlds sometimes, but it's a shame that these worlds load so slowly, because I think, are we in a desert? Oh, a beach. It's a shame that they load so slowly because of the enormous and just idiotic structures that these worlds will generate. It's cool nonetheless. I mean, come on, who doesn't like it? And you could customize these worlds a little bit by setting like the limits on where stuff would spawn. So if I would limit the amount of stone being spawned, these towers wouldn't be here. So if I put that between layer 0 and layer, I don't know, 150, and these towers wouldn't be able to be there, or be spawned in different materials that are allowed up to that level. So that's just a way of having amazing, really amazing worlds without any mods. I mean, this is what Minecraft can do if you just tinker around a little bit more with the settings. And oh, by the way, as I said, gravel randomly falling on the ground. That's because it's being generated here, and it's a gravitational block, so it just falls down. And I think we're in a birch forest now. Are we? Oh, in a forest. And now we're in a birch forest hills. Well, birch forest hills XXL. I mean, the worlds, they look... I've tinkered around with these settings a lot in the past, and I'm still stunned at how these worlds can be generated. And I mean, I'm still just in awe. If they would load faster than they do currently, then I would just take on spectator mode and just fly through these worlds and observe all the very nice structures that are being generated in worlds like this. I mean, look at this. That's just amazing, isn't it? And well, for some reason, as soon as there's water, these pillars come up, and I can't. It has obviously something to do with the world generation and the way it's set, but why those pillars only at water? I don't know. I can't. I don't have the knowledge to be able to explain why this is happening. Maybe somebody in the comments would like to know, like to explain why this is happening, why in water the sharp columns are spawning. But if I'm honest, I just want to concentrate on looking at the world itself, like the dry, the mainland. I mean, just ain't that cool? Ooh, cool! Look at this. That's random. There's a fossil here. Just randomly spawned in the water. That I didn't plan. Oh, there's another fossil. Are we in a... or in a swampland? Do these fossils spawn in swamplands? I didn't know. Okay. Well, apparently you're never too old to learn, so... I mean, we're in swamplands right now. Well, swamp mountains, to be honest. And... well, like plains. These are sunflower plains, I'm guaranteed. Yeah, sunflower plains. As you can obviously see, plains, the name doesn't really apply to this way of world generating anymore, because these are not plains. They're just massive mountains. I kind of could get down here, but floating piggies. But as I said, the way these worlds are generated is just it's of course random. But so if I delete this world and create a new world, this is going to be different, but nonetheless they're going to be beautiful no matter what. And as I said, like in these these black areas here, there's going to be mob spawning galore. I mean, and so I'm going to save and quit the title. I'm going to go to single player world, the awesome worlds, which I misspelled probably. Awesome. Oh, whatever. I'm gonna delete this world and I'm gonna create a new world just quickly in creative mode. Customize, next, and presets. And I'm going to let's see, Isle Land. I'm gonna use that preset now and click done and create new world. So this is a world that the presets are made so you can it's going to generate a lot of floating lands, I suppose. So we're gonna wait until this loads a bit, and there are still going to be a lot of giant structures. But as you can see, this looks like the Everglades or something. I don't know. Wow, there's a village being generated here. Holy moly. And this is just a preset that made, well, it just basically spawns a lot of stuff in the world, and it makes there's no flat piece in this world. I mean, this is the first time I'm using this preset, and as you can see, nothing here is flat. Everything is like hilly, bumpy, rocky. And so this is, although you might think it looks a lot the same, it's still quite different because it's a different way of generating the world. Let's go in creative game mode 3 again. Mode 3, buddy. So yeah, that's one preset you can use. If you want to tinker around with settings some more, be my guest. But as I said, and don't say I didn't warn you, there is a chance that if you offset some scales, some sliders a little bit too much, then it might crash your game. So please be careful when tinkering around with these settings. I mean, yeah, I get the idea here of the Isle Land. Well, Isle Land, so it's like land being parted in a lot of little islands. And yeah, I can see that. I mean, everything is like little... Wow. It's crazy. I mean, imagine trying to navigate this in survival mode. I mean, that's just bonkers, isn't it? Anyway, I want to just say that let's go into game mode 1 so you can see my character. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I wish you a lot of luck and a lot of fun with figuring out worlds like this, because they're awesome. Remember, don't try to survival in these worlds. I've tried it myself and it's just not doable. Based on the loading of the worlds and the way that you need to navigate through this, I mean, it's not fun. Really, it's not. You can try it if you want to. I mean, I don't have a say in that, but I'm just warning you that it's going to bum you out pretty fast. So looking at these worlds or using these in creative or in other applications, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I wish you guys all the best. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.